Today we are looking at Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, the Golden Rule, or as it is stated in VeggieTales, Sherlock Holmes, the Golden Rowler. Yeah, I had to find the Golden Rowler. Yeah, I'm not trying to do the crazy Scottish carrot accent, but that's what it is in the VeggieTales episode. Therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets. There you go. So, this has always been called the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Now, it's been proposed by some, and as far as I've ever been able to find, it's been false. But that this was not a new thing. That this was just a repeat of what other ancient, philosophers and whatnot had said. But what you find Jesus saying is actually different. You see, what was commonly said by others is, if you don't want someone to do something to you, well, then you shouldn't do that to them. Now, it sounds awfully similar, but it's actually profoundly different, because one is a negative and the other is a positive. One says, avoid sins of commission. The other says, avoid sins of omission. You see, to say just don't do stuff other people don't like, that's kind of encompassed by this. Obviously, if you don't want something to do, you wouldn't do this to them. And so therefore, the sins of commission are covered, right? That I don't commit sin against my brothers and sisters. I don't want to be slandered against. I don't want to be gossiped about. I don't want to be belittled. I don't want to be punched in the face. Therefore, I don't commit those sins against others. But then there's this idea of omission, of not doing something that should have been done. Jesus tells people, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them. Now, Leviticus 19:18, which we see echoed in the New Testament, is to love your neighbor as yourself. I don't know why I had that big yawn just stored up in there. Nothing boring about Leviticus 19:18, nor all of Leviticus. Is all very exciting. But, so, to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, I'm hoping that the people who love me will more than just avoid bad things. Wouldn't it be great if maybe they tried to do something nice? That's the idea of the commission omission, is that it's not just about avoiding being bad. It's about proactively seeking to be good and proactively seeking to do positive things to help your brother, your sister, your neighbor. And so I mentioned, on last Sunday, we were talking about how love costs, and how oftentimes God will use not so much a trial, but a demand. Something will be placed in front of us that we ought to do, but it's going to cost us. And how we respond shows us where our heart is at. When I don't want to have to give up my time, I don't want to have to give up my money, well, that just shows a heart problem. Something that you need to look into and need to pray about and ask God to work through. Doesn't mean we can't ever decline things, but it often will show us when something's expected from us. The way we respond naturally, well, it's a reflection of our hearts. And this idea of doing to others the way we'd want them to do to us. I mean, many of us would gladly receive a gift and gladly receive a blessing and gladly receive good treatment. But how often do we want to give it? But Jesus says, this is what you ought to do. And in doing so, for by doing this, you fulfill all the law and the prophets. There's another yawn. I don't know. When Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? It's to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. But the second is like the first, and that you must love your neighbor as yourself. And so this is what he means by, for this is the law and the prophets. Jesus said, again, we could simply narrow down every Christian command into two: loving God and loving God's kids, all of them, the saved ones and the unsaved ones, right? I think only the saved ones are adopted, purchased by the blood of Christ, but God made us all, and so it's a reminder that his heart does long to see sinners come to salvation. And so loving people proactively, sacrificially, doing good to, giving to, those are the things that are covered in the golden rule. It's not just don't hit people, don't curse at people, don't lie about people. It's praying for people, helping people, serving people. And in doing so, you fulfill every law. It's just that simple. It's very difficult, but very simple. Just like losing weight and getting in shape. Diet and exercise. Really simple, just difficult. And so here we have it, though. Jesus sums it up. And so I think that's just a challenge for us to remember, guys, is that this is not just about, am I doing bad stuff? Just forget about that. Like, honestly, now we all know it's not true, but honestly, mature Christians should be far beyond measuring their success by how much bad stuff they're not doing. And it really should be at the point where that's in our past, and we're only measuring our maturity and success by the positive and proactive things we are doing. If you think you're a good Christian because you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't chew, you don't date girls that do, well then, you're at a pretty low rung of the ladder. We should be at the point where it's what we're proactively doing, how I'm proactively giving, I'm proactively loving people and seeking out ways to serve people. I'm proactively loving the lost because, yeah, that's what love would do, right? If I was lost and destined for hell, well, I hope someone would share that with me, and even, even possibly break our relationship. Not like I'm walking away because you're not saved, right? But like they would be willing to put our relationship on the line because of the awkwardness or the forwardness or the tension created, but because they cared so much about me. They cared more about me than they do our relationship. So they proactively love me by letting me know that without Jesus, I'm destined for hell. They proactively love me by serving me, just helping people for the sake of helping them, because your time's precious and my time is precious. But sometimes we have to sacrifice that time to go and love people and be proactive. So there you go. The golden rule. It's not just about not doing bad stuff. It's about getting out there and doing the good stuff that God has called you to do. Go and do it. And reflect and see how well you're doing at serving and loving others proactively. And there you go. God bless you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow at 7:30, and we'll continue through the Sermon on the Mount. It's been good. Only got a little bit left of this chapter, and then we're back to regular Matthew. So I will see you guys then. What day is today? Today's Friday. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. I'll be seeing you then. Normally 7:30, but Saturday we'll do 8 o'clock. Got a meeting in the morning, so I should be done by 8. See ya.